Hello everyone, welcome to a very special episode of Geeky Gentlemen. I am Sid Part 2, and I am joined today by the one, the only, Grant Morrison, who has agreed to do a very brief interview with us about All-Star Superman. Hi, Mr. Morrison.
Oh, hello, yes, how you doing, Sid Part 2? I love being on the Geeky Gentleman. How's everybody doing?
Oh, we're just great. Thank you again so much for coming on.
Oh, don't worry about it.
Yeah, so Mr. Morrison, I was wondering, could you tell us about how you came up with the idea for All-Star Superman?
Hello, I'm Grant Morrison, and this is how I came up with the All-Star Superman. Basically what I did is, I went to KFC chicken, and I got myself a big ass fucking bucket of chicken, and I went home. I then offered up the chicken to the scorpion ghost that reside in the space between spaces in my guest bedroom. I put like candles in a circle and chanted their unholy names while wearing a dress and a red wig and makeup with a 17-inch dildo super glued to my head while shoveling down acid-laced gummy bears down my gob from the KFC chicken bucket that was empty of chicken. Then after the ritual was done, I floated down the stairs into my living room and read Silver Age Superman comics for the rest of the afternoon. Then after reading every single Silver Age Superman comic that was ever published, I then started masturbating vigorously over the said Superman comics. And then all the images of Superman flew off the covers, covered in my spunk, and merged together in a four-dimensional representation of Superman, which proceeded to whip out his cock and wave it in my face. It was amazing. Then Superman's penis hole started talking to me, reciting the Good Will Hunting screenplay backwards. The dick hole then became the size of the universe, but at the same time as small as the atoms in my face. And from that hole came dancing Jesus Christ, hand in hand with Jimmy Olsen, doing a perverse version of a sort of urban African-American version of a river dance, but instead of shoes, they had newborn babies tied to their feet. Superman's penis then spoke, I am the stone that breaks all hearts, and ejaculated rainbows into my frontal lobe. And that's when I saw all of creation being nothing more but a reflection from the red bloodshot eye of a furiously masturbating cosmic monkey named Peter, forever screaming unholy obscenities in an unknown cosmic tongue. My bald head then cracked like an egg, and Frank quietly crawled out of my head, being a physical representation of my artistic will. I then told him what to do, and he waved his hands in a magical manner, and then pulled out a fully publicated version of All-Star Superman from the time stream and handed it to me, then wiggled his nose and disappeared in an explosion of sparkles and drugs. I then called up DC Comics and offered them my pitch. They seemed to like it. Why wouldn't they? I'm Grant Morrison. And remember, kids, the moral of the story is, if you want to make it big in comic books, just take a lot of drugs and read a lot of comics, and then write about it. Unless you're Mark Millar, which in case just smash your head against the keyboard until something brilliant comes out. I'm Grant Morrison, and that's how I came out with All-Star Superman. Peace out, bitches. I'm off to break dance with Vishnu and the Pillsbury Doughboy, 'cause I'm Grant Morrison.
Well, that was very, bye.
Gentlemen, the time has come once again to discuss things.
I'm making fun of Grant Morrison, you dumb bastard! Gee!
Oh, I wish we recorded that. That's just how I wanted to...
What makes you think I didn't?
Oh! That would be an amazing opening for the video.
Well, let's go ahead and get started then. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Geeky Gentlemen.
Wow,
I'm Sid Part 2, and joining me today is Zazubar and Melanjeftic 1992, and they're probably going to ask for some stall time because that was an unexpected start.
Yeah, the phone has been going for 1 minute and 18 seconds, so...
Yeah, we usually catch up, talk about the week, but nope, not today.
We're going for it today, motherfuckers. Though this does cause a problem, since usually we like to record backup, and I haven't had the chance yet.
It's cool, go ahead and start.
Gotta open up Ammo first.
Okay, anyway. So, this week, we're talking about something that, oddly enough, Bill picked.
Yeah.
It's not, like, incredibly odd, it's just, it seems more like a Milan thing.
Yeah, you would think so. I beat him to the punch, though. I like to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so anyway, this week we're talking about All-Star Superman.
Godzilla approves.
Apparently he does.
How can you tell? Maybe he's just angry.
That's true. That's true. But yeah, I picked All-Star Superman. I mean, the big thing was because we talk about it a lot. So I figured let's go for the throat and say why we love it so much, essentially, because we talk about it a lot, but we never really get into any details. So I think that it'd be cool just to get into the nitty-gritty of why this is one... I mean, clearly we all like it based on this conversation. So let's get into why, specifics, what makes it good. So that's why I picked it. But let me just ask you guys this, since this is something we've been kind of dancing around for a year now. How were you guys first introduced to this book?
I don't really remember. I think it was by some documentary or just maybe Blow Some Stuff Up To talking about it or somebody else. I don't know. The buzz about this book was so unanimous that, you know, you just couldn't get away from it.
No.
And I'm like, I will check this thing out. And when I did, I'm like, oh, this is so good! Me likey! Smiley face, all that stuff.
Yeah, I was going through kind of a Superman phase. This is around the time I got into Geekvolution. And when you keep, and I'm with Milan, it's like when you keep hearing things like, this is the greatest Superman story ever told, it's like, yeah, kind of gotta read that. Also, This book has a lot of nostalgic value for me, because this is the first book I ever bought with my first paycheck.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's nice.
A lot of nostalgia.
For me, I came into it a bit ass backward compared to you two. I got into this because, you know, I was on my Grant Morrison Batman kick at the time, and I heard that they were making the next DC animated movie was going to be All-Star Superman.
Oh.
So I actually bought the books, but I waited to read them until I got to watch the movie first.
Oh.
And not surprisingly, I mean, there are things that I miss from the book, but honestly, I kind of prefer the movie in some respects.
Really? This is going to be an interesting video.
This is, funny enough, I kind of sort of agree.
Oh.
Like, just the big one that jumps out at me, not to skip right to the end, but to totally skip right to the end, is that they change how they're going to make a clone of Superman from Superman giving the information to the rainbow coat doctor guy,
Quinto.
and they have it be Lex Luthor's character arc. And I thought that was a really, really good change.
That's the thing. I love the book, but it's an excellent comic book, and I'm not demeaning it. I'm just genuinely saying, as a comic book, it's fantastic. Everything works, but if they were to make a movie out of this, and they did, an animated movie, they really took some really interesting steps, you know, deviations from the book that really kind of helped define the story in a more emotional way, I gotta say. Like, I love the book, every part of it, but personally, I love the fact they changed that Superman just doesn't punch out Superman at the very end, in the comic book. I like that, you know, that's a fun comic booky ending to a Superman story. But, you know, and it's still kind of the same in the movie, but the thing is, in the movie, Superman just kind of breaks Lex Luthor by showing him how ineffectual he is. Just saying,
well, if you cared about, because Lex Luthor has been, through the whole of the book, Lex Luthor has been preaching on, like, oh, if Superman wasn't in my way, I would save the world, blah, de, blah, de, blah. And at the very end in the movie, Superman just says, if you actually cared about the world, you could have saved it a long time ago. And that breaks Lex Luthor, because he's like, that's damn true. And it just, the voice acting in that scene is just so genuine and just heartfelt, that, and the voice acting throughout the whole movie is just great. But yeah.
Bill, what are your thoughts? Did you, I know a lot of people don't like all the changes, and they, like, the thing is, the book's got a lot of, it's not really one story, whereas the movie is. No. The book is a collection of stories with a through narrative, which Grant Morrison's amazing at. And a lot of people get mad that their favorite stories were left out of the movie.
That's not why I hate the movie.
One in particular was the girl that's about to commit suicide.
Oh, yeah.
That's like a touching scene that got left out of the movie, and I know people complain about
it. That's the thing about that scene is just... Sorry, the thing about that scene is just has such a wonderful, heartfelt impact, because this is just kind of at the very end of the story, because Superman is fighting some, lunatic old man in a robot suit, and he just saves Lois again, and they're just about to have this really sincere and very, heartfelt moment, just because she knows that he's dying by this point. But he has to leave her because throughout the fight, he hears that there's a person talking on the phone, trying to talk somebody out of doing something. And then he has to leave her because he actually hears the phone call. And he basically, when we see what happens, is a single page, but that single page in the comic book is just so it's a gut punch of emotion. You just see this girl about to commit suicide, and then there's just Superman behind her saying, it's not as bad as it seems. You're stronger than you think. And then it just keeps... I cry, man. Every time I talk about this, I tear up like a bitch. Jeez.
You know what? Yeah, Milan and I will be quiet for a sec. So, Bill, you really don't care for the movie as much?
No. And here's the thing. I don't give a shit about the stuff that's cut. Well, okay. I do give a shit about the stuff that's cut out. My favorite issue of the book is the stuff with Bizarro. But...
Oh yeah, I love Bizarro.
Now, but here's...
I hate Bizarro.
Oh, shut up.
But go on.
Shut up for a second. Shut up. Here's the thing. It has nothing to do with anything in the book. So the fact that they cut it out was a smart move, because it's got nothing to do with anything. All it serves to do in the book, in terms of the overarching narrative, is that Superman's gone for a little bit, so that way he can the other two Kryptonians can come in and conquer the world. But in the movie, they're smart. They say, okay, Superman brings the people from Kandor to this other world. That's the gap. That's
but Bill, like, what is your problem?
No, I'm getting to that.
Oh, okay.
So here's why I don't like the movie. I feel that it is a very lazy attempt to adapt Grant Morrison's writing. And here's one of my biggest problems with it. Some of the cuts that they make are very smart. The one I just mentioned is my biggest example. Here's one that I just can't get my head around. It's really small, but if you think about it a lot, it gets bigger. So, in all the animated Superman movies of this line, Superman doesn't have the yellow S on his back. No big deal, I don't give a fuck. In the book, they make a direct reference. It's a small moment, but they make a direct reference to it. And they build up to that line in the movie, but they change it to his chest, and it doesn't really work the same way. I'm just like, why wouldn't you just give Superman the S on his back? But that's
really nitpicky.
Hang on, shut up. It's a smaller moment and a bigger problem. In that same scene, they fuck up Samson and Atlas's dialogue to the point of just hilarity.
Like, what do you mean?
Samson is a character from the Bible. But all the dialogue Samson has in the underworld was Atlas's dialogue in the book. Samson makes direct reference to Titans and Olympus, and Atlas shuts up. I'm just like, the fuck? And that bothered the fuck out of me. I'm just like, that's embarrassing. That's just embarrassing. Because it's like, it's such an easy problem to fix. Just move the dialogue over. I'm just like, it was a lazy mistake to me. It serves no purpose for the movie, and it tainted that whole scene for me because I'm just like, that just doesn't make any sense.
No, wait, hold on. Are we sure that these are supposed to be the characters from, like, outside of the mythology? Like, because to me, this is classic Morrison style of bringing back a character that hasn't been seen in like 60 years.
Yeah, but in the book, Samson makes direct reference to Yahweh.
Yeah, I know he says Yahweh and Jesus, but I'm just wondering.
He doesn't say Jesus. I know what you mean. It's just they are actually from. They're referencing a story, like an old Silver Age story, where basically Lois Lane and Lana Lang walk out with Samson and Atlas, and Superman's like, it's one of those shock covers. And like, oh, Lois, Lana, what are you doing? We're tired of your bullshit, Superman. We're gonna go, date these big, strong, other history strong
That's
men.
exactly what it said on the cover of the 70s comic book from the Silver Age. Milan just quoted it directly.
But anyway, but like I understand what you're talking about, because Superman, Grant Morrison is great with kind of historical anachronisms.
Right.
But everyone's spouting these weird kind of places and things that people don't know about. I have a cosmic anvil from New Olympus, yada yada yada. That was awesome. Yes, but that makes little suns. That's great. Defeat a Sun Eater.
Why doesn't he just carry a little sun around with him all the time and have infinite power?
Magic.
What?
I don't know.
Wait, is the cosmic anvil magic?
I don't know.
It's from New Olympus?
I don't know. I don't care.
Anyway.
That's just something I thought of today. I'm like, wait, if he just carried around a little mini sun, wouldn't it just give him powers no matter where he is?
Well, at this point, he's kind of, overexposed.
No, I'm not talking about at this point in the movie. I'm just talking about if he's obviously had this thing for a while, and like how many times has Superman been, oh, red sun, I can't use my powers, or oh, kryptonite, I can't use my powers.
Although I love how
not anymore.
I love how in All-Star Superman he's just like, interesting way to find out I've become immune to green kryptonite.
Is shot by a laser. That was pretty good.
That was funny.
I gotta say something about the Bizarro issue.
Sure.
I know, Bill. I know, Ian. You hate Bizarro or don't like Bizarro stuff, but personally, I think that the redesign of Bizarro World is just great. It's just this giant sentient planet that sends out tendrils, and it basically the sentient planet morphs into a backwards parody. It's almost like an animal trying to adapt the look of the creature it's hunting, just for what's the right word I'm looking for camouflage or whatever. And it's just this weird cosmic level, like this simple animalistic instinct on such a cosmic level. It just seems cool to me. And the fact that I think this could be done in the next Superman movie, just this raining.
No, don't do Bizarro.
Oh, I think you can do Bizarro.
Well, because the problem with Bizarro is I don't want to listen, and here's why they cut it out of the movie, alright? I don't care if they actually did it for this reason, but here's why I'm glad they cut it out of the movie. I could not stand to listen to someone talk backwards.
Oh, I disagree.
Could you imagine that?
No, he has a point. He has a point. They would have to sub it.
I love reading out the dialogue in the comic book and backwards.
Oh, sure. It's fine for text because you can look at it and interpret what it's supposed to mean. In dialogue, it would just be gibberish. I agree with Ian. And I'm not criticizing the movie for cutting that issue out.
Guys, I'm going to sing you the Bizarro national anthem.
Oh God, yes!
Yes!
1 second. Let me just find it. Okay, here you go. There you go. Okay. No say am no see, I am night's early dark. How shamefully quiet by a morning's first fading. Thin stripes and dull stars through the comfortable peace. Under trenches no watch am so cravenly hiding. By no rockets blue shade am no shells dead down there. Gave no proof all day long that old flag was anywhere. No say does them spare strangle shroud having limply underland, no free am us home cowardless. Yes, Bizarro. Hey, I love this song. It's so fun.
Milan, please play Bizarro in a movie. That'd be amazing. I would, if I were to make a Superman movie, I would do Bizarro just so I could cast Milan.
Oh,
and just do like I wouldn't even have to do the motion capture. I could just have your face. Kidding. It was a joke.
Did you hear me? Did you hear me fine though?
Yeah, totally.
The thing I gotta say more stuff about Bizarro. I just love the fact it's a giant sentient planet. It's so cool.
There are parts I liked about it. I like that Wonder Woman's a clay statue. I thought that was clever.
That's genius. I also love it when Bizarro Superman is like, "We're Bizarro Batman," and then he's like, "Oh, Bizarro Batman was shot by his parents." I loved that. That was genius.
The Flash is the slowest man on Bizarro World.
That was a little obvious, but the Batman one killed me. My favorite part of it is Zabaro. I thought that was genius. Yeah. You do
like that's the only part of it I like, and I think it's telling that the only part of Bizarro World that was really, really good to me, besides haha kind of moment, was something that was unlike anything else ever done with Bizarro World.
Yeah, but I
Square, the Cube Planet, haha, funny. There's a couple other things that, give me a quick laugh.
Bizarro melts, a Bizarro melts a black lady's face off, and then she jumps out a window.
That was no.
That wasn't funny, but okay.
I'm not saying that was funny, that was a fucked up moment. Many people died in this issue. Jesus, but it was awesome because it was Bizarro.
I also love the part where, Perry's like, Lombard seems to be immune to the Bizarro virus. Superman does an X-ray scan on him, and he's like, huh. Well, Mr. Lombard, I wouldn't recommend those performance enhancers to any of the other people, so I guess I'm going to have to take care of this myself.
Yeah, there are parts I liked about the issue, but I cannot stand Bizarro stuff. It bugs the crap out of me. Because it's just I don't like to have to work to read it.
But that's interesting, because you do have to work to find out what the fuck it means, and that's what makes Superman's feat of having these people build a rocket to get out of there so impressive.
That's it.
I don't know, I just don't find it that compelling because I can't get invested in it because I'm doing mental gymnastics.
I found it fascinating.
I love it.
It's my favorite issue, by far.
I love
my favorite issue.
I love the introduction of Bizarro. He just smashes into the middle of, in front of the library. And the way you first see him is like, oh my god, that is scary, Bizarro. Me am Bizarro. Me am no Bizarro. Me am be your friend. I love Bizarro.
I don't understand why no is in front of every word.
It doesn't matter, it's Bizarro. He's backwards mad. He's mad backwards.
And it's the opposite of what you're trying to intend. So I suppose it's like when we couldn't come up with an opposite word for this, it's just put no. It's just to put no in front of it. So,
that should be easier nowadays to do than anything else with just word right-click antonym.
Yeah, but I'm trying to think if he ever did it with a word that it would make sense to put it in there.
I like that.
Well, he did it plenty with the Pledge of Allegiance, Shroud for Banner.
No, I mean, when he put the no in front of it, if there was another word to replace the following one.
Fair enough. I don't know. I don't like having to do mental gymnastics to read something. And, I know that's a tricky thing to say with Morrison, because the counter-argument is, well, I don't like Morrison because I feel like his whole thing is mental gymnastics.
Not in this
to me,
case,
there's a difference. There's a difference in trying to understand the thing that a character is saying and trying to follow multiple plot threads. I had no trouble figuring out what was going on in the comic. I just couldn't understand what the characters were saying, so I either had to breeze through the pages and possibly miss things that were important, or I had to spend entirely too much time deciphering it.
I didn't think it was that hard.
At very first I had a problem with it because it just took a little bit of mental gymnastics reading the backwards Bizarro talk. But then it just became so much fun because I realized how fucking hilarious it was. It's like whenever I hear Bizarro talk, it makes me smile because it makes me think of home. Anyway,
let me just say my one problem with it in the Bizarro terms. Why the fuck is there a Bizarro statue in the Fortress of Solitude? Has Superman met Bizarro before, or was this the first time?
Yeah. No, it's mentioned that this is the face, but he's fought Bizarro before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he does. It does allude to that.
Yeah.
Okay, because I thought that that because there would have to be a ground for Quintum calling the clones Bizarros. I didn't think that was it, though, but okay. Problem fixed.
I love the fight between Superman and Bizarro. Basically, I love the fact that Bizarro's powers are the reverse of Superman's. Like he's quote unquote heat vision is ice vision. He's like ice breath is heat. He breathes fire. And I love the fact Superman just like, oh, it's time to check out my new superpower, and he just throws lightning at Bizarro. And he was like,
that was cool.
No, you want you. No won't fight you. All you no Bizarro. Want all you no Bizarro become because that's fuck. I can't even read that.
See what I mean? See how difficult that shit is.
It is, but it's funny. But like one more thing, I just love all the like. That's the thing about the Silver Age. Sure, you could say, oh, it's goofy and silly, but some of the.
I don't mind that it's goofy or silly.
No, I want
to have work to read it.
No, it's not about the Bizarro anymore. It's just the concepts in this book that are just so. Like, the Silver Age, sure, it can be silly and goofy and a little bit fairy tale-ish at some points, and that's not a bad thing. But, you know, the concepts in every single issue was just, like, in most, like, writers kind of regurgitate stuff, but in those days, sure, the ideas weren't really all that developed. But, like, they had ideas that were just crammed just head to toe in these issues. And it's just so much fun that just like if you take these ideas wholeheartedly and fully embrace what they are, it's just like wow, this weird wacky sci-fi thing is actually pretty cool and
it's pretty compelling, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's my biggest praise for this book, and that's why I think it's been heralded as one of the greatest Superman stories. Because here's how it presents itself via Grant Morrison's concept. For years, Superman has been shat upon because he's too powerful. Grant Morrison's like, fuck that shit. I'm gonna make Superman more powerful than he's ever been before, and then
make him thus more compelling.
And exactly, and show you how fucking fascinating he can be as a character, and how interesting his world can be because he's so powerful. So fuck all you other people, I'm gonna write the greatest Superman story ever told.
Well, like, let me just make the one problem with that argument. It's conceivable that it's not the greatest Superman story ever told because Superman's more powerful. It's conceivable that it's the greatest Superman story ever told because Superman's more powerful and he dies at the end. That's the problem that you have with this with that argument. Is
what do you mean?
Yeah, I mean it's great to see Superman be ultra powerful and go through these crazy, awesome scenarios, but could you really sustain this level of intrigue? Because, yeah, sure, all the fun stuff with, you know, the Samson and Atlas and Bizarro World and, I don't know, the team of Supermen and stuff, that's all really fun and interesting, but I don't think it would have the same weight as it does if it weren't for the fact that he's dying in these stories.
Well, that's why I'm saying it works so well, because it's done...
No, but I'm just saying, like, that the problem with the argument that Superman's not... The argument is that Superman isn't too powerful to be interesting. Here's an interesting story with an ultra-powerful Superman, is that, well, it's not just an interesting story because he's ultra-powerful, it's an interesting story because he's about to die.
Yeah, but it's not because he's going to die that makes the whole thing interesting. Well, that makes it condensed. I see your point. I think Ian's point here is like, you could never do this for a bunch of years. You could only do this for the miniseries. But it's not the fact that he dies at the end that makes all these issues interesting. It's that he's so powerful that we're able to be introduced to these cosmic concepts. But I do see your point. But I'm just saying that to be ballsy enough...
Like, don't get me wrong, the individual stories themselves of, like, this ultra-powerful demigod saving the world are all very interesting, but I don't think they'd be as interesting without the backdrop of his death.
Yeah, I'm not saying that if you did this in the normal Superman title, it would have as much weight. I'm just saying that the fact that he had the balls to be like, I'm gonna write a Superman story that's so great because I make Superman so infinitely powerful... That's one of the things that makes it so good, is because he didn't just put Superman into a typical superhero situation. He made it his own. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So Jimmy Olsen said, I'm looking at the page now, and Jimmy Olsen says something incredibly awesome. Anything can happen here. Anything can anything can happen around here. And for the next 24 hours, I'm walking in the shoes of the world's foremost eccentric zillionaire daredevil, as leader of the ultimate futurist think tank from the sea of ingenuity on the dark side of the moon. That is the coolest sentence ever put to print, I gotta say.
Is that all one sentence?
Yep, that's all in one sentence.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but that was kind of... I feel like that's Milan just not wanting to weigh in on the topic at hand here.
Oh, shut
So
up!
I'm gonna put the pressure on him. Milan, do you think All-Star Superman would have worked as well as it did if not for the backdrop of Superman's death?
I think the individual stories can work without the fact of Superman's death. It's just with Superman's death, it kind of what's coming, and just it's all kind of falling into this sinkhole, into this black hole of this is gonna happen, and so it's just kind of I hate to use these words. It's not a retread of Superman's greatest moments, in a schematic sense. It's just it shows what's cool about what's ever been cool about Superman. And yes, Superman dies at the end because this is the ultimate Superman story. Hell, even Doomsday kind of shows up here. Everything that in Superman's history.
Disappointed by that.
Not really. But everything in Superman's history has been referenced in this book. And of course, at the very end, what do people remember most about Superman? Is that the fact that he died and came back to life? Well, that really did that he actually died. Nobody really cares about how he came back to life. But yeah, I mean, and besides, the story kind of it alludes that Superman's not really dead. Lois Lane just kind of says, "Oh, he's not dead. He's in the heart of the sun. He's in the sun, making a synthetic heart for the sun to live on forever." And I don't know if that's actually what's happening, but we do see like the him building a heart in the sun. But I think it's just mostly symbolic about the ultimate hope of the human race or something like that.
Well, whether or not it's symbolic, my argument is still that if Superman doesn't die, if you somehow re-edit these stories to take out every mention of Superman's death, then I think what you have is very fun and interesting stories, but they're not as compelling without the backdrop of that.
Well,
that's
he
the problem.
would do it if he wasn't dying, because the whole premise is that he's dying, so he's kind of going off on a farewell tour.
Well, no, I mean, he's still doing all the Superman things, though. He's still being Superman. It's just, that's the thing, is it's not as interesting to watch Superman just be Superman without that backdrop of the drama of, we're not going to have him for much longer. That's what makes it so interesting. We're watching him save the world for the last time.
I kind of disagree. Like, I personally, I guess it's just because you're not much of a Superman fan, but I like Superman doing Superman things. But I do partly kind of agree that for the sake of this story, if you take away, like, this being a miniseries, the grand finale is Superman sacrificing himself to reignite the sun. Spoiler alert. But yeah, like,
were we even gonna try and say that? I mean,
no.
We've already spoiled at least half the book.
Yeah.
So.
But anyway, like, I understand what you mean. Like, in this particular story, I personally love seeing Superman be Superman. And
I mean, don't get me wrong. That's very interesting.
But the thing is, I understand. Like, kind of, I do agree for this particular story. If Superman doesn't die at the end, the whole experience would be kind of cheapened. Not to say seeing Superman being Superman is boring. It's really not. But the dramatic, tension is just kind of like, it's like a 60s song with a great chorus, boo boo, and you expect the finale to be just triumphant and horns and violins and just like da 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 da.
And instead of horns and violins, it just keeps going. That's the problem with Superman. Like that's I think the problem with Superman is he's not a character, oddly enough, that's great at an extended medium. I think Superman's great in small bursts, but when you continue to go back to him, he becomes less and less interesting. And I think this book kind of demonstrates that inadvertently. Without the finality of this story, all the Superman stuff is still vastly entertaining, taken on its own. But if Superman didn't die at the end, if he found some miracle cure, and then we got All-Star Superman 2, I don't think it'd be as good.
I agree.
I partly agree, but that's just because, like, when you get a really good run of Superman, It's just you really have to get your game on when you're writing Superman. You gotta...
Like, no, don't get me wrong. I mean, even if All-Star Superman 2 was written by Grant Morrison, let's say Grant Morrison comes back and writes All-Star Superman 2 in this fictional universe. Superman does fix the sun and he flies back to Earth a number of years later. And then he just continues to do all the Superman things, but this time there isn't the dramatic backdrop of him dying. It's still going to be a fun book. I'm still probably going to enjoy it. It's fun to watch Superman be Superman. But it's not going to be as dramatic.
Well, it loses the emotional weight in that way if you don't have the backdrop of him dying, because what All-Star Superman essentially is kind of Grant Morrison's version of the last Superman story. A lot of great writers who get popular based on their runs on these characters do this in their own way. They do the last story for this character. Neil Gaiman did really, Batman.
I think it's just... it's not that they're doing the last story of Superman. It's just they're doing their story of Superman. It's just... With Mark Millar, sure, he did a wonderful communist Superman story. And Frank Miller did...
Actually, no, I kind of agree.
I know, it's not that they're trying to tell the last story. It's just they're trying to fully condense their own feelings on the character in one mini...
Hang on. You didn't let me finish. I was also going to point to Alan Moore's Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow. This is how I view the ending of this character. Of course, the character is not going to end; they're just going to keep going. But here's how I would do it, and that's always cool.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, my favorite Batman story, Whatever Happened to the Caped Crusader. It's condensed, but it references everything, and Neil Gaiman wrote it so that it could be the end to any version of Batman.
I still have to fucking read that. I can't believe that.
Like, honestly, dude, we're doing a mini on that.
Yeah, I need to get...
we can't get a full episode out of that, but we can do it. Definitely do a mini.
Can I join in? Say, guys, can I join in on that one? I kind of like that.
No, because then that'll be a full episode.
It'll be a mini episode with me,
All right, well,
mini episode.
Anyway, let me get to my point here. He did the last Batman story, and that's the thing, is that version of let's say that DC goes out of business because of impractical decisions. I can't imagine that ever happening.
Right?
Oh no!
Oh, yeah. Wow, that would be impossible.
DC is just on a kick.
DC is going out of business because of impractical decisions made on the creative level, and so they're closing out all their characters in these big mega sales to try to just eke out some money before they close out. And they want to publish the last Batman story, but they don't have any talented writers around to finish it off. So they go to Neil Gaiman and they go, can we reprint Whatever Happened to the Last Crusader? Or Whatever Happened to the Caped Crusader? Whatever Happened to the Last Crusader. It sounds like a really shitty Indiana Jones spinoff. So they go to Neil Gaiman and say, can we reprint Whatever Happened to the Caped Crusader? He says yes. That book can come out, no matter if it's 20 years down the line in continuity, 50, whatever. That book can come out, and it is still the end of Batman. All-Star Superman can still come out 50, 60 years from now, assuming the character's still around, and it can still be the end of Superman.
Oh, totally.
You can still tell it as the end of Superman's story. It's going to be slightly less poignant because some of the technology is going to look really outdated in it, because it kind of already does. I mean, Jimmy Olsen has a flip phone in one scene.
Yeah, that's something.
No, it's little things like that. But honestly, the story itself, the core of the story, serves as the last story, and it serves as the ultimate story.
I agree. I totally agree.
Yeah, I agree. But that's the thing. That just kind of makes these, end of times for these character stories kind of iconic, because yes, that they do tend to kind of, because superhero mediums are just, they don't end, they're just a never-ending story, literally. As long as people are interested.
Never-ending
story. No, they don't have to apologize.
This is the song that never ends.
And then it ends, and you're really disappointed.
Yeah, I expected 16,000 more verses before you guys got lazy.
Yeah,
okay, anyway.
Ian, fucking lazy hack.
I can't remember the second verse. I know it has something to do with it keeps going and going or something like that.
It's the song that never ends, Ian. Of course it keeps going.
Hold on, I'm trying to remember the second verse. This is the song that never ends. It just keeps going on and on, my friends.
Oh yeah,
it's the song that never ends.
And it just keeps going like that.
Yep.
I love
We're
when...
still singing this. Sorry, Milan, go ahead.
I love the part where basically the two Kryptonian conquerors break the moon and just use bridges to patch it up. It's like
I was a little disappointed that they didn't follow through with the bridges in the movie.
Yeah, that would have been so cool to see in animation.
Yeah. Like Superman's like, what? Oh, like, what have you done? You broke the moon. And he's like, and this is his exact
face is just like, you bastards.
No, he's like,
you broke the moon. Those are cool. That's a cool sentence, though. I don't care.
It is.
I'm making that my Skype status.
Okay. And this is what happens. It's like, this is the guy, like, nothing. Nothing. We can't easily repair. And they just lift up bridges and just like ching, 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 ching all around the crack of the moon. I'm like,
yeah, it looks like it's a stitched up. That was cute.
It really wouldn't even do shit. Like, I love how it works, but really, that wouldn't fucking work.
Not at all.
I don't know. I mean, it depends on the severity of the crack.
They slam Superman, who can lift fuck all amount of weight, into the moon. The moon is done.
You know what? I want like
that is the end of the. I want to see a movie where that happens, and that's just the end of the world. Like there's no superhero action. That's just the end of the world.
You know, like the moon breaks, the tides go wrong, the world falls into chaos. Can you hear me all right though?
Yeah, we're fine.
Yeah,
okay, basically, I love the next scene. Basically, Jimmy Olsen has gotten into Kryptonian culture now, and is showing off his new Kryptonian trunks. He's like, hey.
I don't get that scene. It doesn't make any sense. He goes from getting beaten up to just working back at the Daily Planet, and it's in the book and the movie. And I don't get it at all.
Oh, I do.
It's a really awkward transition, and they don't explain it in the slightest.
That was really weird, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Really, no, I didn't find it that weird.
No, why didn't he get up and fight again? That'd be like, no, like, this is exactly like if in Man of Steel, Zod had come and he beat him up in Smallville, and then Superman just went back to traveling around the planet doing good
That would have been amazing. Fan editors out there, make a cut of Man of Steel where that happens.
Like, that's exactly what it was like. It's like he should have gotten back up and fought them, and it was weird that he didn't. And it's such a useless thing, because it's not like the scene at the water cubicle has any relevance to what goes on later in the thing, later in the story, except for making fun of that one coworker of his. It's just like he gets thrown down there, and you honestly could have just gone that he kept fighting them, and they kept getting weaker because of the kryptonite. There's no reason there's that work scene at all. It's so awkward.
Well, you're right. If I were Grant Morrison, I would do an ultimate cut of All-Star Superman, which has already been done, but do it again. Where you cut out that part, and you just have it happen when they crash back on Earth. Now, if I was going to fan bullshit it, the way I would say it, and Grant Morrison maybe could have put this in the book, is Clark realizes, oh shit, they're going to need time because he knows that's going to happen, so I'm going to let them simmer, and before I die, I'm going to go down, relax for a while, and let them come to me when they're ready.
Like, I wouldn't have minded if he'd, like, X-rayed them during the whole thing. That would have made sense.
If they would have explained it. They don't. I agree with you.
Yeah, it's just problematic. And, ladies and gentlemen, we lost Milan temporarily. Sorry about that.
Fuck.
He'll be back soon, I'm sure.
Ian, how did you feel about that whole issue? Because, like, I gotta be honest, it's the one I question the most of the entire run. Because I like every issue. But that one, the characterization of Bar-El and Leela, I don't know. It seems a little too...
It's weird. Kryptonians are always either, like, Jesus godly-like Jor-El, when they're shown, or like they're these asshole superiority complex people, you know? It's weird.
Yeah, well, that part of them was fine to me. I thought their shift to the light side, so to speak, was very abrupt. So,
well, like that part I didn't mind because it just made sense that they would want to it makes sense that because they're so weak in the book, they're actually paralyzed by the time Superman gets them back to the Fortress of Solitude, which makes a lot of sense. But it makes sense that they would be so forgiving and so understanding after experiencing the kindness that Superman shows them after everything they did.
Yes,
that
part I love. I'm just saying that what we see of them, they seem very two-dimensional to me. And I don't think that was the intention. I think the intention was supposed to be the opposite. Like, they're three-dimensional characters because they have that shift. But I don't know. I reread it last night, and I didn't remember having that problem when I'd read it in the past. And I don't know. It made it less emotionally impactful to me.
Yeah.
But whatever. I still like that issue a lot. I like the concept of the whole explanation for why their blood becomes kryptonite is genius. It makes sense in the context of the crazy pseudoscience. But just their characterization is off to me.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. I don't think it's off. I think it's just a very dramatic shift, and I think that's more to blame on the medium of comics than anything else. Honestly, I would prefer if that part was cut out of the movie as opposed to,
I agree.
Like, there's a couple things I wish we could have seen more of in the film, but I still prefer the film version, to be honest with you.
Just because it's so... It doesn't have the stuff under the surface. It doesn't have the cleverness behind that book that in the movie. It just doesn't to me.
Like, what do you mean?
It comes off like a Superman movie to me. And it doesn't have that ambiance, that mystique that the book has. I watched it today, and it felt like I was watching Superman Unbound, just with some better writing.
Well, like, I don't really get where you're coming from, because it has a lot of the same references. I mean, they even lift direct lines of dialogue from the book.
No, they do, but I'm just saying they don't have the power, and this might just be lost in translation from a book to a movie, is those lines don't have the same weight when they're either spoken or just in the context of the movie.
See, actually, I completely disagree. I think they have more weight, like... I got a couple moments where I felt a little choked up reading the book, but honestly, dude, I gotta fight not to cry at certain parts in the movie.
What part?
What?
What part?
Oh, just like that first scene when he finds out he's dying. The scene where he tells her that they can't have kids, and of course the scene where he leaves to go throw himself into the sun. Those three scenes in the film, I cannot, like, I really have to struggle to stay calm. But in the book, I mean, I still feel a lot of the same emotions, it's just they don't feel as profound. And I mean, I think I'd have to attribute it honestly to music and voice acting. More than anything else, but still.
I don't think they brought that much power to it. I really don't. I feel like the voice acting was what it needed to be and nothing more. It didn't add anything to it to me that the book didn't have already. And, in fact, it took away parts of it for me. That scene where he says he's dying feels drastically shorter to me than it is in the book, and it's not. It's the same length. It's the same amount...
No, there's more length to the scene. There's more length after the fact, rather.
Well, he spends more time in Project's base because Project has more to do in the book. They're barely in the fucking movie.
Which I really don't care about.
I care about drastically. I like...
Really?
Oh, yeah. They're one of the best parts of the book to me because they are the direct representation of Superman's legacy. These are the people who he inspired. Here's why Lex is wrong. Look at the shit that he inspired. Lex is sitting in jail. That's their purpose. And it's mentioned in the movie, but they don't do anything in the movie. See, that's my biggest problem with Lex doing what he does at the end. It's a good end to his character arc, I guess, but the Doctor... And the Doctor. That sounds weird. I forget his name. Doctor, whatever. The rainbow.
Isn't it Polaris or something like that?
No, I can't remember it. And Milan just said it too, so I fucking can't remember. Ian, see if you can pull it up quick. But I'll just say it without it. Lex gives it to the Doctor, and the only reason the Doctor is the one who's going to do it is because he has money. In the book...
No, not really. He's the only one that understands it, and he'd been working on it for years anyway. He says that much. I honestly prefer it, because, I mean, the only difference is it's Lex that gives it to the Doctor as opposed to Superman. That's the only difference between the book and the movie as far as the project's concerned.
No, because they build this huge friendship over the course of the book. Because they spend so much time together.
I'm just saying, as far as, like, the the Doctor character cloning Superman goes, the only difference is, as far as him being able to do it, is that Lex is the one that gives him Superman's genetic code.
How he knows it, too, I don't know.
Well, dude, that's the thing, is he had superpowers. He would have seen Superman and been able to memorize the genetic code. That makes perfect sense.
Oh, well, no, they don't say that. They say that he got it out of the serum itself, which doesn't make any sense.
Oh, yeah, it's true.
No, which doesn't make any sense, because in the book and in the movie, Superman says that it's the other way around. The person who's taking the serum has to have their DNA in the serum so it will work. Because it's rewriting their genetic code.
No. In the book, he says he reverse engineers it from the he combines the powers. It's really complicated because it's Grant Morrison. He's engineering it from his powers and giving it to a human, which is actually, it makes a lot of sense that would work that way, to be able to clone Superman, because you're taking part of his DNA and mixing it with human DNA at that point.
Well, that's also the only other thing I like about that scene in the movie is that they directly bring Lois into it, so it makes a lot more sense that the descendants of Superman are going to be her descendants as well. Because in the book, they don't make that clear. It's definitely implied, but...
It's Dr. Quantum.
Quintum. Oh, it's Quintum. Okay, gotcha. Thank you. Dr. Quintum. But in the movie, they make that a lot more clear. They change a line in the movie that I actually like a little better in the movie, because there's the character of Cal Kent, who is a descendant of Superman, and in the book, Lois just questions the name, like, Cal Kent, huh? Because Superman has, of course, just revealed to her that he's Clark Kent, and she doesn't believe him, which is fucking awesome. And in the movie, she also doesn't believe him, but instead of saying that, she says, he kind of looks like my dad, and I'm like, that's cool. That's a cool little reference. But just to get off of why I don't like the movie for a second and why I like the overall book itself, also love that idea, because in almost every Superman story, except for the Man of Steel, which is something I like, Lois at some point goes on this quest to prove that Clark Kent is Superman. It was the linchpin of the plot in Superman 2 in both cuts. In this version, she says that she's tried for years and he's always proven her wrong, so when he finally comes out and shows her, she doesn't believe him. I love that.
Yeah, that was cool.
I love that. I love
actually,
that concept.
See, I think part of why that works so well is because it's always the other way around.
Oh, totally, yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I like it the other way around. I honestly think that the scene in which Christopher Reeve, in the Donner Cut, takes off the glasses and reveals himself as Superman after she, mock shoots him, I think that is Christopher Reeve's single greatest moment as Superman, and I'm amazed that it happened during an audition cut.
Right? It's such a great bit of acting, and it's so simple, and it was also his fucking screen test. It's great.
Yep, I really do love that, and I do like the dynamic is flipped in this, that, she's trying to prove that he's not Clark Kent.
Yeah, that was... Well, she doesn't try to prove it, she just doesn't believe him. Which, she has grounds not to, because, it's implied that they've...
Batman, a robot, that's why.
Well, yeah, because, it doesn't make any sense, but, she also has grounds to believe him, because this Superman is a fucking genius. So, I think that she's starting to, always be on her toes around him because he is so ungodly smart. So she's like, I think he's just trying to play a trick on me. I'm not going to fall for it. Also, love the bit where she gets doused with those paranoia fumes, and she thinks that Superman has turned into this insane monster that's going to take over the world with a race of Supermen. That's fucking awesome. And here's why it's even double awesome. Because the thing with Superman, with people criticizing the fact that he's too powerful, with people I've encountered who don't like the character, has always been, that should be the backstory for a supervillain because that's a terrifying idea, so I don't want to read about that character as a protagonist because it's so terrifying, and I don't like that person. And, Grant Morrison is just like, that's going to be a concern because Superman is so powerful now and so smart, so let's directly address it and prove that that's not what's happening. I thought that was really clever. I thought that was really clever. And the book is filled with moments like that, which is why it's my favorite Superman story and why it's been heralded as the greatest. So, yes.
Yeah, I'd agree. I do like that part of it. Personally, I don't know. I'm just trying to grasp at why I like the movie more. I mean, Lex's character arc is brilliant. There are scenes I wish, like, it's honestly the small things that they cut out. You know, I had this teacher in middle school for a drama class I was taking, and she was also, you know, the stage director for the school for plays and stuff. And she said, my predecessor would start cutting a play for time by cutting out the smallest characters' lines. I do the opposite. I always cut out the biggest characters because the smallest characters are the actors that matter the most because they don't get as much time to be seen by their families and stuff. And while her rationale for it doesn't apply here, I really do like the point that she makes. It's like, it's the small stuff that really matters to people. Like, you don't remember every single moment of a performance. You remember the tiny parts of it, like we were just talking about with Christopher Reeve. You remember the tiniest things that stand out to you and go, yes, there. And, like, that's what works so well about the book, is there are so many of those tiny moments. Yep. You know, the talking her down from the ledge thing was brilliant. For me, I love when he takes the tiny doctors from Kandor to the sick ward at the children's hospital.
Oh, that was great, yeah.
I love that scene. That is so perfect. That is exactly what Superman do. They're like, we're sorry we couldn't save your life. Yep. He's like, I knew you wouldn't be able to, but there's something else I would like you to do.
Oh, that was great.
That was, I love that scene. And it's honestly, the movie would benefit if it had cut more of the larger stuff like the Kryptonian astronauts. I guess they didn't cut that because, admittedly, that's a really iconic moment in the book. As far as it's a whole issue, you know. Not that Bizarro and Doomsday Jimmy aren't, but still.
I didn't mind the Doomsday Jimmy being cut.
It's so short and so, like, just different from everything else that's going on.
Well,
and so is Bizarro. It has nothing to do with the overall story.
Well, that's the thing. They cut out what didn't directly relate to what was going to happen later, because it all came down to Solaris and Lex getting superpowers, so they couldn't cut anything that related to that. Except for the astronaut stuff. That's the one thing that they didn't cut. I think that, you know, didn't really have anything to do with the overall plot. That, and here's the thing. Where they can't cut, they change, which is not a dumb idea at all. It's actually very smart. The ending, as much as I don't like it, is a clever way to cut out some of the stuff in the book, because they cut out a lot of this, almost all the stuff with Quantum. So that was a very clever way to fix that.
See, I don't mind it as much because even in the book, like, yeah, Dr. Quinton gets a lot to do, fair enough. But he's not as interesting a character as Lex, and this gives Lex a character arc, whereas the book didn't. I mean, Lex gets superpowers and kills Superman like he's always wanted to, but we don't see what happens to him after that scene with Superman at the end when he tells him that if he wanted to save the world, he could have. I really like that scene, and it even is smart enough to continue Lex Luthor being so, like, anti-religious and so impurist, and being such like a empiricist in so many ways. You know, you can't hold truth in your hands. What color is it? Stuff like that. I just love that they even continued, you know, the pray to Einstein for a miracle with "Forgive me, forgive me,
Doctor,
Professor,
for I have sinned."
Yeah, that was cool.
That was really that, and also the last shot of the movie pisses me off. Again, I'm sorry, it's a small thing.
Of Superman working in the sun?
No, that was taken right from the book. I mean, the last shot of... I'm sorry, I fucked up what I'm trying to say. Because in the book, one of the last shots is the S shield, but with a 2 in it.
Yeah.
Fucking awesome. In the movie, it's just a book with the Superman shield on it. I'm like, oh, that's so less cool.
I don't mind it.
I drastically mind it, because, again, my biggest problem with the movie cutting out Quantum is that he is the direct representation of Superman's legacy. and that's the finale to it. Big door with a Superman 2 on it.
Fair enough. I think it's a smarter idea to make Superman's greatest enemy the one that preserves his legacy. Like, honestly, you can make an argument that even though they're not in the movie, the Supermen of the future are as much Lex's children as they are Superman's.
Yeah.
You may even say more so. Because Superman in the movie does nothing to preserve his legacy. And Lex does.
Which is another
and I think that says a lot about Superman's legacy and what he leaves behind.
Which brings me to another thing that pisses me off about the movie. They cut out the Earth Q thing. Oh, I love that scene in the book. Because it's a really fascinating idea. Superman's like, alright, I'm about to die. Now, I do think that the Earthlings can carry on their own. I'm not worried about that. But, I'm worried about... I have a little itch in the back of my mind saying, but what if? Because Superman is so caring and has, always wants the Earth to be protected because the Earth took him in when, he could have just been locked up in a lab somewhere and Earth raised him. So he's like, I just gotta make sure. So he's like, alright, I'm gonna create my own pocket universe, and I'm going to test what would the universe be like without me. Let's just see what happens.
What I liked about that is it's hinted that he created our universe. I like Superman as a Jesus allegory. That always is something fun to see. Mm-hmm. I never thought I'd see Superman as a God allegory.
Yeah, well that was the whole thing of this, was he was very much so a god. And, his 12 labors, which Samson lists, one of which is create life. And I think there's a line in the book where Superman's like, how am I supposed to create life? And
I don't remember it, and I just finished it like 20 minutes before the call.
Fair enough. I read it last night, so I remember something like that, though. But with or without it, I love that he doesn't do it intentionally. Like, he doesn't do it with the intention of, I have to complete these set requirements. He does it all for the preservation of Earth without thinking about completing a checklist.
Yeah.
I like that.
I like that about it. Don't get me wrong. I do. I just adore the fact that Superman's God, literally.
Yeah, that was cool. But yeah,
no,
what do you think?
I don't know. I like the movie more, and not because one's better. I just think the movie's more concise, and as much fun as it is to see Superman be Superman, the other stories, like the Bizarro and like the Jimmy Olsen, don't really work out for me as well, because you're just seeing Superman be Superman, and it doesn't have the emotional weight behind it.
Yeah, but the point of the book is not to be concise, it's to explore every facet of the Superman universe with this backdrop of him dying.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is those don't explore Superman's death, they just explore Superman's stories.
Yeah, but he's doing...
Like, honestly, those issues feel more like filler, and that's a hard thing to say, than they do, like, they're necessary to the story. Like, they still have the emotional weight of, oh my god, if Superman wasn't here, how would this have been stopped? Sure, but they don't feel they don't feel that Superman's as necessary as some of these other scenes do.
Yeah, but they wouldn't be happening if he wasn't dying.
Not the Doomsday part. Not the Bizarro part.
Well, the Bizarro part wouldn't be happening because Quintum wouldn't be doing what he's doing if Superman wasn't dying.
Ah, shit. Milan's broadband is dead. Sorry, everybody.
So Milan will not be rejoining us.
Doesn't look like it, unfortunately.
And it's his... Oh, no, it's your topic, please. I got confused.
Well, he just sent me a message, and yeah, it's down there.
Wait, how can he do that without broadband?
I don't think he has enough to join a call. He probably has just got barely enough to run the fucking thing.
Right.
See, Bill, this is all your fault because you wanted to record tonight as opposed to last night.
It is my fault. I do apologize. I've had one hell of a week.
Yeah, I'm sorry to see Milan couldn't make it. You know what, Bill? I'm gonna ask him to just record some brief thoughts on the rest of All-Star Superman of stuff he wanted to say. and I'll put it in right now.
Goodbye, me am Bizarro. Me am not help Geeky Gentleman review comic book. Me am hate Milan Zaro. He am no part man, am no part Bizarro. Am not one and the same. Me am no like. Bizarro am not confused. Bizarro am no confused on the species of Milan Zaro. Am normal man. Am man fully sane in the noggin. Am Bizarro. Am me no frighten of him. Me am no first Bizarro ever think. Am no heart Bizarro head. Me hope us all die. Die am good. Me am Bizarro. Me am friends with you. Me am kill you with big truck. Me am Bizarro. Me am no review All-Star Superman by Bizarro Grant Morrison. Me am think book is bad. Book really bad. Bizarro is in not book. Bizarro not in book at all. Bizarro Cube World not in book. Ha 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 ha. Bizarro not handsome. Bizarro ugly, so ugly. Old ladies hate Bizarro. Ha 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 ha. Bizarro am no hero of the book. Bizarro am save all lot of people. Bizarro world am not hungry. Bizarro world, Cube world am no want to eat Earth. Not hungry at all. Superman am hit Bizarro world. Am Bizarro world am not sink into the underplace. And am Bizarro no smart. Bizarro am no smart all. Bizarro no genius. Bizarro not build rocket for Superman. Zibaro, Bizarro's Bizarro. Am super cool. Ha 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 ha. Am super cool. Super cool smarty pants. Ha ha. Am no stupid like Bizarro. Bizarro am king of Bizarro world. Bizarro am not happy. Bizarro's daddy am not king of Bizarro underplace. Now Bizarro am not mention Frank Quietly am terrible art. Bizarro am hate Frank Quietly art. Frank Quietly art am not pretty. Am terrible look at, very bad. Also, writer Grant Morrison am bad writer. Everything make no sense. Bizarro not like narrative complexity and story. Bizarro am not appreciate. Call back to Silver Age of Superman comic books. Bizarro no cry at end. Am no cry at all. Eyes dry. Bizarro am no cry like little girl. Superman am not die at the end. Superman live long life with Lois Lane. All happy ending. Not bittersweet at all. And Bizarros live badly ever after. Not happy at all. Horrible things. Horrible things all night long. Hello, am Bizarro. Am hate you all. Bizarro. Me am now sing Bizarro national anthem. You am have option to not listen. Bizarro am not crush head like coconut if you say yes. Take away microphone, fat man with funny hair. Bizarro am sing of shameful heritage. No say am no see by am nights early dark. How shamefully quiet by a morning's first fading. Thin stripes of the dull stars through the comfortable peace. Under trenches no watch am so carvingly hiding. By no rocket's blue shade am no shell dead down there. Give no proof all day long that the flag was anywhere. No say does a star-angle shroud hang limply under the land of no free. Am us home cowardly? Bizarro. Me hate you all. Bizarro am no give you big hug.
Bizarro, leave those geeky gentlemen alone this instant.
Superman. Me am no Bizarro. Me am you friend. Safe with Bizarro. Me am Bizarro. Surrender now and go back to Cube World. I don't want to hurt you. No surrender, am no beat, hurt more, fight more. No down sinkhole, go under place. No into cold us go, no freezing good dark go. Me am no first Bizarro ever think, am no heart Bizarro head. Me hope us all die.
Okay, everyone, we're back. Sorry about that. Hopefully Milan's thoughts were interesting and entertaining and, you know.
And hopefully you got off on them.
But, Bill, go ahead.
I would like to point out, I've been ranting about the movie the whole time. I would like to point out something I like about the movie. I love the opening. Because it's got this great music score underneath, and you see all the logos pop up. And then they intercut, because the opening of the book is, I think it's 4 separate panels basically telling Superman's story.
I do love that Morrison boils down the origin to 4 panels.
Yep. Doom Planet, Desperate Scientists, Last Hope, Kindly Couple. Amazing. Mm-hmm. And I like how in the movie it's intercut with the mission to the sun going wrong. It makes it so much more epic that way. And it couldn't be done in the comic because you don't have scene cuts in that way. With the music score also really helps it, and the reading of the dialogue helps it. It makes it very, very epic. And it's also nice to find out that it was Lex who said that later on. That's really cool. And I like how once they say Superman, it's Superman flying into frame with the epic music. That was so fucking cool. The opening is really well done. Also, I keep fucking finding things not to like about the movie, I'm sorry. The suicide bomber thing in the movie is really awkward.
Really?
That whole scene is really awkwardly paced, and I don't know why. I think it's just because they're translating it from the comic. I just find it really awkwardly paced, because there's one moment, one of the biggest things when you're doing radio or audio or anything like that is the worst thing you can do is have dead air moments. A black frame is the equivalent in film. And there's not a black frame, but there's a moment of almost dead silence. And it's just...
I didn't get that. I think you're just really nitpicking the movie.
I'm not.
I hate to tell you.
Well,
dude, all the complaints you've said, except for like you had one general good, concise thought on it, but everything you've said, like specifically, is just really nitpicky. It's not like a huge overbearing problem with the film. It doesn't create a plot hole or anything like that.
No, I'm just saying that it's awkward for a moviegoer to have that moment of just like dead air. And I'm just saying that because who the fuck else is going to watch this movie except people who are interested in the comic?
Plenty. People who are interested in DC?
No.
People who like Superman?
But aside from people who are into comics and into Superman. So they're probably either aware of the book or,
My nephew loves it.
Oh, really?
My nephew adores this film.
Okay. I've been proven wrong.
He's 4, but he adores this film, and he's adored it for the last 2 years.
Okay, I've been proven wrong. But, still, with all the nitpicks, though, you said it best earlier yourself, the book is comprised of these wonderful small moments.
Yeah.
And so much of it is cut out of the movie, I feel like the movie loses the personality of the book because of that.
Fair point. Yeah, I will agree with that. If you really love all the tiny things in the book, the movie does really... I don't want to say gut them because that's way too negative an image. I feel that the movie takes the best major parts of the story and does a really great job of presenting it as true as it possibly can. That being said, I really wish this was a 2-hour movie and they could have just adapted the book straight.
Or done it as a miniseries.
Possibly. I don't know if it would work as well.
Yeah, but then you could do it in 15-minute bursts. Here's how you do it. You do it on DC Nation. Every morning, you put 2 other shows around it. You do 15-minute bursts of the issues.
Fair enough. That'd work.
Because you don't have to do them as a half hour or as an hour. It could just be done as 15-minute bursts. But I don't know. I feel like the movie is the abridged version of the book. and I don't like that. I said it earlier, I think it's lazy might be too strong of a word. I think it's a poor attempt to convey the story that Grant Morrison told in the book in a movie. I think that it could have been done better. Then again, this is a very unusual choice to do as a movie anyway, because it's a condensed miniseries and not a story arc. You know what I mean? Because we've been saying it the whole...
Well, that's the thing, is it actually does the story arc and not the miniseries as much.
Yes, it does. As we've also been saying this, it takes everything that relates directly to Superman's death and Lex getting superpowers and Solaris, and it only puts that stuff in except for the Kryptonian astronauts.
Well, like, the interesting thing is, most of the movie is the first half of the book. You notice that?
It is.
A lot of the movie is the first half of the book, then he flies away to go, like, put the Kandorians on some far-off planet, which, you know, the only reason I really don't like that is because we don't get the miniature doctors, but whatever. Which brings me to this point. Why isn't the Atom freelancing his technology to hospitals in the DC universe? He is a horrible humanitarian. Anyway.
Well, wait, isn't it not technology? It's a genetic thing?
No, it's a belt.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not a...
You're thinking of Atom Smasher.
I don't know. I'm not a... Here's the thing. I like DC, but not much of it outside of Batman and Superman, so... I'm shaky on all the other characters.
There's actually a really cool one-shot they did in a Brave and the Bold book, and it's not like based off the movie or based off the show. It's funny. Brave and the Bold, the television show, comes from Batman Brave and the Bold, the comic series, which ran in the 70s or 80s or something like that.
And they brought it back, yeah.
Yeah. And they brought it back as its own comic series. Batman dropped from the title. And it's just team-ups between characters you wouldn't normally see in books together.
Including villains now, which is fucking awesome.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, one of the issues, it was brilliant, was Joker and the Atom. Oh. And there's like a tumor in Joker's brain, and for some reason everyone feels the urge to save his life. And
the fuck?
Yeah, everyone feels the urge, we gotta go save him. I mean, to be fair, you are medically required. It's part of the oath, the Hippocratic Oath or whatever.
Oh, was he in Arkham?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought this is like, because if I'm Batman and he's dying of like a tumor in battle, I'm just like, my hands are clean. I'm walking away.
No, he's in Arkham, and they put him under sedation, and they call the Atom, and he's like, so wait, let me get this straight. The Joker's dying, and none of you can do anything. There's nothing that can be done to stop him, except for me. Yeah. And I would be risking my life to save him. Yes. Well, then why are we doing anything?
If I were the Atom, I'd be like, I'm having an off day, my wife's pregnant. Well, no, actually, she was a fucking psychopath in DC. Sorry. Something's up with my wife. I got this supervillain doing this, I'm busy, he's dead. Sorry.
Yeah, but anyway, so Atom goes inside Joker's brain, and it's a brilliant way to do his origin. Like, usually I don't like Joker's origin stuff, but this is fairly clever. He's in his brain, and he gets zapped by synapses as he's moving through it, and he starts getting Joker's memories. And it's really cool.
Oh, that's actually a really cool idea.
Yeah, he gets Joker's memories, and like there's this line that keeps getting repeated through it. It's I'm not weird, it's the world that's weird, because he's like it's Kid Joker, and he's playing in a sandbox, and this girl's like, "What are you doing?" "I'm poking this frog I found." And she's like, "You're weird. I'm not weird. It's the world that's weird." And you see Joker, like, lock his parents in the house when he's, like, 13 and another one, and he just walks away as they burn alive. And then you see him in a little street gang hold up a, Quickie Mart, and he just shoots the owner because it's fun, and then shoots one of the other gang members and says, "I'm the leader now." And then Atom, the Atom saves his life, and he gets out, and he's sitting there at the end of it, And Joker's talking to him, he's like, so you saved my life, huh? Yeah, I did, because I'm better than you. You're weird. I'm not weird, it's the world that's weird. And then Joker just starts laughing as Adam realizes what just happened to him.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh, that's fucking cool.
It's a really good story. Amazing one-shot.
It's a shame that the Joker didn't say, so you were inside of me, huh? That would have been amazing.
Yeah.
Especially with...
Sorry, everybody. That was just... I love that story. Brave and the Bold, I want to say number 31.
Is that the series that they started in, like, I think it was 2007 they started that series, maybe?
Yeah,
okay.
Probably. That sounds about right.
Yeah, I think it was 2007 they started. I have not read that series. I've heard great things. There was one issue where Batman teamed up with Lex Luthor, which sounds amazing, so...
Oh, I might have to check that out.
That sounds amazing, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's a shame...
Let's get back to...
Well, hey, let me just say this. It's a shame there aren't more Batman versus Lex stories without Superman in them, because that's a fascinating dichotomy.
Yeah, because they're, like, really similar people.
Yeah.
Just personality-wise and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, some of my favorite moments of the world's finest three-parter in Superman TAS is Bruce Wayne and Lex talking. Mm-hmm. Because of their different values, but they're such similar characters. Anyway,
yeah, anybody that's interested in that stuff should read Lex Luthor, Man of Steel.
I almost bought that and I didn't, and I don't know why.
You really should. Like, shame on you.
Oh no, I know why I didn't. Because I bought the first 3 issues of Greg Pak's Batman Superman stuff, and then I bought a Godzilla trade I'm planning on reviewing. So that's why it was an economic decision. Anyway, another thing I really like about the book that you just reminded me of. We talked about this a long time ago. I think it was recorded, maybe not. Where we were talking about how absurd it is why the Joker has never been put to death. And this story is like, this guy would be put to death in a situation like this. If he had done all these insane things and been this crazy, he would be put to death. And it's so fascinating to see Lex Luthor. This book could almost be called Lex Luthor Unbound. Because it's like... We get to see Lex Luthor without the chains of he's hiding behind this economic facade, he's trying to be a crafty supervillain. No, this is just Lex on his deathbed, so to speak. And it's fucking awesome.
Yep.
But I really like that concept.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's a brilliant idea. I just like seeing Lex go all out with it. I mean, honestly, I prefer subdued Lex Luthor. You know, this being the one true exception, I never want to see Lex Luthor punch Superman. I always think it's so much more interesting when he's just behind the scenes and Superman can never take him in on anything. And that's the thing that would make Clark Kent such an interesting side of Superman, is if that was the only way he could get at Lex Luthor.
Right.
But they never do that. Lex always has to be in some stupid robot suit.
No, they have done that before. They do that. That's what they do in the Lois and Clark TV show. It was really dumb though, because the way they wrote Lex on the ending was fucking terrible. But
well, I mean, they do it, but they never do it right.
Yeah, no,
you know?
I get.
That's why I love Lex Luthor, Man of Steel. Is that dude's untouchable?
Yeah,
he is like, I'm trying to remember. What was the James Bond villain where he was a businessman?
Oh, that's not vague at all. Gold?
No, it was one of the Brosnan films.
Oh, fuck. Tomorrow Never Dies. What was his name? I'm gonna look it up quick, but go ahead.
Yeah, it's like, I've never seen that movie. I just remember seeing brief clips of that guy, and he kind of just ran the world behind the scenes, and I thought that was cool.
Yeah, in the movie, that's the guy who, he plans to write the greatest headline ever and conquer the world through news by engineering a war, which is genius.
Well, that happened. What do you think the American-Spanish War was? That was William Randolph Hearst engineering a war. You provide the pictures, I'll write the history. That's a direct quote from William Randolph Hearst III.
Elliot Carver.
Yeah, man that is also responsible for making marijuana illegal, because he had a very vested interest in trees for printing. He bought a lot of land in lumber to be able to print his print paper for his newspapers. He was a newspaper tycoon, and he realized that a lot of people were growing hemp, and you can make paper out of hemp really cheap because guess what? There's a reason they call it weed, because it grows like a weed.
Oh.
So, like, he actually used a lot of his sway in government to make hemp illegal. It's one of those really fascinating little back doors of history there.
Well, Elliot Carver doesn't do that, but he is essentially untouchable, and there's a moment in the movie where Bond gets scolded because he fucks with him in a way, and I think there's a moment where he goes rogue. It's been a while since I've seen it. I'm not crazy about Tomorrow Never Dies because there's parts of it that are very, very boring, but it's a decent movie. It's better than fucking the other two Brosnan movies.
No, I just like that dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
I think that could be a really interesting dynamic if done right, and that's what Smallville. Well, no, Smallville couldn't have been that, but that would have been a good dynamic for a Superman ongoing television show that actually takes place in Metropolis and everything.
Oh, I totally
Lex Luthor
yeah.
was just this behind-the-scenes guy that, they did that in the animated series for a while. Like, that was what the whole first episode was. Is, Superman just starts floating outside of his window and is like, well, you can't prove shit. That endlessly pissed Superman off. And that's the problem. The animated series never took it that extra step and made Clark the one that was bringing all this bad press on LexCorp.
Yeah, that was Lois who was doing that in the cartoon, and it took Lex to fuck up to get him to the mad scientist place he is in Justice League. So, yeah, I'll agree with you. And here's the thing: okay? So, Ian, I'm going to give you two fictional characters, and I want you to tell me which one is the best to do on television: Batman or Superman.
Batman would be easier to do cheaply, but Superman probably works better in television.
Well, I mean economically, which one makes more sense?
Yeah, Batman.
Okay. Who has had more live-action television shows?
Superman.
How the fuck does that make sense?
I don't know. It's a really good question.
Because Batman has had one live-action show, and that was...
Really?
Well, one where he's the main character. I mean, Birds of Prey is a Batman show that he's not in.
Yeah, I know Birds of Prey. I'm trying to think what was the other one.
The 66 show!
Oh, well, no, that doesn't count.
Yes, it does count! What do you mean it doesn't count? I'm saying...
I thought you meant, serious
No,
Batman.
I mean Okay, fine. But I mean... Alright, so in that case, Batman has never had a live-action show. Well, do it like fucking NCIS or Criminal Minds. I was watching Criminal Minds recently, and I'm like, this is a Batman story without Batman in it.
Well, Criminal Minds, don't do it like one of the really cliche ones. You gotta do it where it's more subdued and more interesting, kind of like Monk.
Oh, like Sherlock.
Yeah, the detective aspect of it would be really good, but you also gotta find reasons for cool gadgets and fight scenes.
That would be so easy. Because you just have to do the detective stuff with the supervillains, like the Penguin, fucking Mr. Freeze. These are not things that these are things that you could do on television. If you can do Doomsday on TV, you can do Mr. Freeze. You can do...
Well, their version of Doomsday looks so badass, but he's so short. I don't get it.
Well, yeah, but
in Smallville. Have you seen the design for Doomsday in Smallville?
Yeah, it wasn't terrible, but it looked, it looked very tiny, didn't it?
No, seriously, dude, Tom Welling was taller than him.
Really?
Tom Welling literally was taller than the guy in the Doomsday costume.
It's
so awkward.
Oh, God. Well, also, it makes no sense to do Doomsday in Smallville, especially the way they did it.
Let's not get into that. Let's get back to All-Star Superman and wrap up here.
We can talk about how they did Doomsday and All-Star Superman really briefly if you want, because I know you don't like it, and I'm not crazy about it either.
Well, it's just such a useless thing, and they say that you're not going to be able to come back from being Doomsday if you're Doomsday longer than 30 seconds, and he's obviously Doomsday longer than 30 seconds, and he beats Superman so easily, so it's not an epic fight.
Nope.
And it's more about Jimmy Olsen, and I don't care about Jimmy Olsen. I was not one of the people that was getting upset that it was Jenny Olsen in Man of Steel. I don't get why you care.
Well, no,
Jimmy Olsen's stupid.
Well, what I care about is that they they fucking cut back on it at the last minute, and they cut out every mention to her being Jenny Olsen. I mean, my point of it is, the fuck's the difference? So just make it the character who was in the comics, so that way it looks like the fucking comics. There's no point not to do it that way.
It's such a... Jimmy Olsen has never mattered as far as gender goes. I don't see why it would matter if he was a girl.
Yeah, but that's but Ian, that's people's point. Who gives a fuck, so why change it? Why? You see their point?
Just to diversify the cast.
Oh, that's a stupid reason. Because you got Lois Lane, you've got everyone on Krypton, you've got a super villainess who's fucking awesome. There's no reason. Just make her a random Daily Planet employee who's...
Well, that's what they did.
Right, but there's also characters in the comics you could have used, like, there's Miss Grant.
Dude, you got Perry White as Lawrence Fishburne. Why? Like, that's what I don't get. Why did no one complain about that, but they complained about Jenny Olsen?
Well, okay, Ian, there is a difference between race and gender. Race doesn't mean shit as opposed to gender.
Nah, I disagree with that. As long as it's not you can't make Wonder Woman a man, obviously. But Jimmy Olsen's gender has no bearing on his character whatsoever.
Neither does making Perry White black.
Exactly, so why does it matter?
Okay, Ian, that's not my...
That's what
I'm not saying it matters, I'm saying it doesn't matter, so why change it? And I don't think diversifying the cast is a good enough reason. They cast Lawrence Fishburne as Perry White because he'd be fucking awesome as it, and he was. That's the only... Oh, he was great. Don't even fucking...
No, he was good. It's just he didn't get a lot to do.
Well, I'm just saying...
I don't know if I'd say awesome.
That character doesn't get a lot to do, so he did what he had to do, and he was awesome for it. That's why they cast him. They didn't cast him because we need a black guy in the movie. And they didn't change...
So they did really need more black people in that movie. I swear, Lawrence Fishburne and one of the, 2 or 3 of the Army guys are the only black people in the entire DC universe in that film.
Yeah, they also... They should have made Dr. Hamilton black, because... he...
No, actually, I like that, because that dude looked so much like the guy from the comics.
Yeah, but I mean, that's a character who... I think he's been done as black before, and it's been really cool. I think he was made black and small, but that would have been great. Anyway, but I don't know. But that's my point, is it doesn't matter, so why change it? There was no reason to do it, because all it's going to do is piss people off. Care about the characters.
It pissed people off that Lawrence Fishburne played Perry White, but it pissed people off that Jenny Olsen, existed. I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah, but do you see the difference? Because Lawrence Fishburne is cast as Perry White because he'd be good at it. They changed her gender, or they changed Jimmy's gender for no fucking reason.
Well, what if they didn't want to, cast just some what if they just don't like ginger people? Have you ever thought of that?
They don't cast a ginger person!
Well, then, Jimmy Olsen's character is completely compromised, isn't it?
No, God, I'm gonna punch you. I really am. I'm really gonna punch you. Anyway, so that's why...
No, I really don't care. If you're gonna change it, I don't care as long as it doesn't matter, and so it doesn't matter, so just change it and quit bitching.
I don't care either. I don't give a fuck about Jimmy Olsen, but, again, it doesn't matter, so why change it? That's my point, because it's only gonna piss people off.
Because it doesn't matter, and maybe she's a good actress.
Yeah, she was amazing in that movie.
She was. I thought she was okay.
What?
She did a good job, especially when she was trapped under the rubble.
She did. And folks, this is Ian trying to piss me off.
No, dude, I thought she was a great actress. That scene where she was trapped under the rubble was really heart-touching.
Oh God, I'll punch you.
Why?
Because it just doesn't compute. Anyway.
Okay.
It also
let's get back to
why you like the movie better than the book. That just mystifies me.
I just think the movie works better as communicating the themes.
In what way?
Just it does a better job of communicating them because it's not spread out over so much stuff. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the extra stuff in the book, but I think it does a better job of communicating the main themes of the story because it's more condensed. Because it's telling one story as opposed to 700.
That doesn't tell 700. It tells 12.
Well, I'm kidding.
I actually see that this might be a taste issue then. I think that's what that's coming down to because I feel what makes the book so great is that it does do this exploration of the universe while also communicating those things. I at no point felt like it was getting bogged down by those concepts. It uses it to its advantage.
Let me actually take it back to what I was saying earlier. We were talking about how Superman, like, a lot of what people say about this book is you can do Superman really well and make him even more powerful. And I was saying, well, that doesn't really work because what makes these stories powerful is the finality of his death. And as we've established, the movie only keeps the stuff that's necessary to lead up to his death, right? It cuts the stuff... What?
Not necessarily. They more keep everything that directly relates to him, to Lex Luthor getting superpowers.
Well, and Superman dying, though.
Yeah, but you don't have to keep... Sorry, I'm just...
Well, like, let me finish. So, I was saying that... God damn it, now I have to restart this.
I apologize.
Alright, so we've established earlier that Superman that this book works so well because it puts Superman into a position, it's so compelling to see Superman die. That's what makes the book really, really compelling. B, the movie keeps the stuff that is really necessary to see that happen. Alright? So my conclusion, based on those two premises, is I like the movie more because it's showing me just the stuff that leads up to that. It's showing me the stuff that really makes Superman compelling, which is how important Superman is. The other stories, while good, while entertaining, don't directly connect to Superman dying, as we've established. So they're not as interesting, so I breeze through those and I lose some of the momentum I'm building from earlier in the book following the death of Superman.
My counter is that the moments that they do cut out emphasize Superman's importance because the Bizarro one, for example, the motherfucker crashes on this planet that is...
Honestly, Green Lantern could have taken care of that.
Okay, calm down. Let me finish. So, wait, okay. So the motherfucker crashes on this planet. It's all backwards. There is no chance in hell he's getting off of it because he's losing his powers. He's gonna die there too, because he can't get back up. And it's filled with this. It's a backwards world. Everyone's speaking gibberish, and Superman has to get these things to build a rocket. Mm-hmm. And that sounds like an impossible situation. And he does it. And he gets back to Earth for no other reason than he knows something bad's going to happen, that it's going to be destroyed if he doesn't get back there. And guess what? He's right. So, because of that, I think that the movie loses all that these parts of the book show. I don't think that it breaks down the momentum of showing the theme because they're emphasizing the theme. And also, to say this, the book is also... These parts are not boring by any means. They're exploring these really fascinating concepts. That's why the Bizarro issues are my favorite, because the way Grant Morrison does it is just so fucking fascinating. He takes the bare-bones premise of backwards Superman and backwards Earth filled with backwards Superman. Okay, let me run with that. So, you've got this weird, fucked up Bizarro language, you've got Zimbaro, you've got Bizarro Jor-El, where Kal-El died, that was amazing, and he's the president of the fucked up Earth, and you've got Bizarro, the Unjustice League. You know, all that stuff is fascinating, and it's continuing in the end to serve the theme. So that's why I think the book works better, because it's got so much more behind it. It's got so much more personality behind it, and I feel like the movie is just an abridged attempt to relay that information. I feel like it's incomplete.
I disagree with that, because I don't feel like it's incomplete. I feel like it's condensed in order to communicate just the main thread and to cut out a lot of the fluff that kind of bogs down the overall themes of the story, so that, in that way, it more clearly communicates those themes.
But I don't think it's bogging it down. I think fluff is not the right word. I think that's...
Admittedly, that's fair. I would agree. Fluff is not the right word, because it's not Spawn. It doesn't just wait till important issues to do shit.
I mean, All-Star Superman is the complete opposite of something like Spawn. It's got 12 issues, and Grant Morrison packs them, and packs these amazing concepts into it. And again, I don't think the movie... I think the movie was a strange choice, because it's like, you know, the point of the book is not to be concise, and not to get all this info, and not to get one straight concept out to you. It's to get a million of them, and to tell Grant Morrison's last Superman story.
And fair enough, and I get that, but as far as, like, what makes the story interesting, it's that Superman's dying. What does the movie tell us? The story of Superman's death.
They should have adapted the death of Superman better.
No, because the death of Superman is ass.
Oh, it is ass.
That book sucks.
Oh, it doesn't suck. Are you kidding me?
That book sucks until the last chapter.
I don't agree. Well, I don't agree with that. I agree with the... Well, to me, at least, the more interesting stuff of that whole story arc is what happens afterwards. All you would have to do is make Doomsday more interesting, and that's...
Well, no. The problem with the death of Superman is just if you didn't read... Like, they didn't realize how big a fucking deal they were doing when they killed Superman.
Oh, I see your point.
Because they so heavily grounded it in continuity. So that if you didn't read comics at the time, you have no idea what the fuck is going on in the first 5 issues.
Okay.
Then it's just Superman being a whiny little bitch trying to fight Doomsday for a couple more issues.
What?
And the last issue's really good.
Alright, he is not a whiny little bitch trying to fight Doomsday. This motherfucker is beating the shit out of him and killing people. And Superman is unable to stop it.
It's not a whiny bitch. Yeah, that's true. That's not my problem with the issues of the Doomsday fight that go on for entirely too long. One is they go on for entirely too long, and two, Doomsday goes to Metropolis because of WWE. That was dumb.
Oh, because he wants to fight.
That was incredibly dumb.
Oh, that's such a small thing, though. I mean, it's just...
No, it's not. It's the entire reason that Doomsday's in Metropolis. That's a big deal. The only reason Doomsday wants to go to Metropolis, the city that represents everything Superman fights for, is because he sees a commercial for WWE.
That's hilarious, though.
It's not. It's dumb.
Oh, it's not dumb. I find it hilarious. Well, because you've got this thing that wants to fight, and humanity is crying out, "We have it! Come get it!" And that's what's going to kill them, because this thing is unstoppable.
No, that's stupid. It's a completely superfluous thing. DC didn't realize how big a deal it was, so they put in a lot of conventions.
I think they fucking.
No, they didn't. They had no idea it was going to be that big. They had no idea it was going to be the best-selling comic book of all time.
Well, maybe not the sales, but they realized that what they were doing was a big deal.
No, they didn't.
Did you know what kind of release that book had?
No, but dude, they didn't realize just how big a deal it was because they didn't. If you knew it was going to be a big deal, you wouldn't bog it down you'd put it in its own continuity basically, as opposed to bogging it down in the current continuity of the time.
Yeah, but you're trying to kill Superman in the continuity.
No, you don't put it completely in its own continuity. You just don't bog it down with all these extra details of ongoing stories.
Do you mind if I just outright say what you're talking about? Because I feel like, because I agree.
The whole Justice League.
No, not the Justice League thing. The fucking undersell, whatever, one of those monsters at the beginning. I completely agree with him on this point, because, basically the opening of the book has nothing to do with Superman. It's this, monster society who Superman is fighting and also trying to save, and the only connection it has to him dying is, one, it's the issue they introduced Doomsday, and two, there's a kid in it who is there when Superman dies.
Yep.
That's all it connects to it.
That's part of it. Part of it also is the Justice League at the time, which is not the Justice League, because they're characters I haven't even heard of, and I've watched and read so much DC. I swear to God, Falcon from Marvel is in the Justice League at the time.
What?
the black guy that's like everyone's suspicious about on the team, and they like reference it in a couple parts of the issue.
Oh,
like, it's just,
yeah, and Guy Gardner.
They make such a big deal out of the fact that Doomsday is beating the entire Justice League with one hand literally tied behind his back, but I don't care because I don't know any of these people, so they're not significant enough for me to care about.
I see your point, but I think that the way that they're characterized is fine. My biggest problem is I was confused because Guy Gardner wasn't in his Green Lantern uniform.
Oh yeah, Warrior? That's so stupid. Oh my god.
Oh, you
like, how much do you have to luck out to not only be a Green Lantern, but to get superpowers too? Just on your own.
Wait, doesn't he have another power ring though?
No, he's got this like it was this really wacky ass time where he had this DNA, this alien DNA in his system, and it made him the Warrior, and it was stupid.
Oh, that's your
Guy Gardner's just a character I don't like.
Oh, I don't like Guy Gardner either. I don't give a fuck about him. I'm all for Jon Stewart.
Jon Stewart or Kyle, either one of them, just not Guy Gardner. I'm not the biggest Hal Jordan fan in the world, but Jeff Johns proved you could make that character interesting.
You can make him...
Guy Gardner is such a snore fest.
He was okay in Batman the Brave and the Bold, though.
Well, yeah, but that's because it was like the funny version of Guy Gardner. That's the one punch Guy Gardner. That's not the read him every friggin' issue and he's the same goddamn annoying asshole that creates problems for himself.
You ever see the moment in Young Justice where Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan are sitting at the Justice League's table, and they're just like, we need to expand our barracks, so I think it's a Martian Manhunter who's like, well, Earth does have another Green Lantern, Guy Gardner, I think we should, and Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart are just simultaneously like, no! and someone else is just like, but we could really use the power. No! As someone who doesn't like Guy Gardner and loves Jon Stewart, I was like, fuck yes.
That's very funny. Don't get me wrong, Guy Gardner's funny from time to time. I don't know what it is about Batman and Green Lanterns, but anytime you put Batman and a Green Lantern, maybe except for Jon Stewart, on screen together, Batman becomes hilarious. Because he makes them look like idiots, and it's funnier than shit. And I say that as a Green Lantern fan. It's brilliant.
Also, well, you remember that moment in the first 6 issues of
Justice League where Batman took Green Lantern's ring?
That was hilarious, where he just starts pulling it off, and you start seeing Hal Jordan. He's just like, what are you doing?
Yeah, there's an issue from the early John's run on Green Lantern where they're hunting down a criminal together, and Hal gets in the car gets in the Batmobile, and Batman's like starting to slowly pull out of the cave, and he goes, "You should put on a seatbelt." I'm fine. I have a ring. I have the ring. He's like, "We'll be traveling in speeds excess of 180 miles an hour. You should put on a seatbelt. I'll be fine." Okay, and then he leaves the cave, and Batman slams on the gas, and Hal goes flying into the back.
That sounds a little cartoony, though. I don't know if I like that.
No, it's just the way John sells it, because Batman's so straight-faced. It's great. It's like honestly, it's like, and I know cartoony, and it's not the best example, but it's like this episode of Family Guy, where Stewie and Brian are in the car, and Stewie doesn't have a seatbelt on, and he says something that pisses Brian off. He's like, "Are you wearing a seatbelt?" "No." Slams on the brakes, and Stewie goes bam into the windshield.
Oh god, that's funny. What about putting a Green Lantern ring on Batman?
Actually, that happened in that book too.
No, I'm referring to the meme of overpowered. Put someone with.
That's actually the issue that comes from.
Oh really? I didn't know. Okay, was it actually that good, as badass as it sounds?
No, it's a character thing. It's not like a power thing. Hal's trying to help Batman work past the death of his parents. So he gives him the ring and tells him to put it on. And at first it doesn't do anything. And he's like, you gotta feel it. You gotta think about the moment that you gotta think about the worst fear you've ever had. And he does, and that's when the ring works. And it shows, the moment of his parents dying, like it creates constructs of it. And Batman begins to move past it, and then he forcefully takes the ring off and hands it back to Hal and says, "I don't want to." He doesn't want to work past that. because it's what gives him his drive. So it's really
That's
fascinating.
amazing. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
See, that's also why it's moments like that I like, because it's and Milan has talked about this, and this is one of the things I agree with him on. So often in DC, Batman is always pummeling other superheroes below him, and Green Lantern's always one of those characters. There's this moment in The Batman where Batman puts on the Green Lantern ring, and
I don't care. That episode's badass.
it's stupid, because it's like, why the if Batman is this amazing as a Green Lantern, why the fuck didn't the people from Oa give him the ring?
Because geography matters.
Whatever.
It's actually said several times. It's why Guy Gardner hates Hal Jordan sometimes. If Abin Sur had crash landed closer to Guy Gardner's geographic location at the time, the ring would have chosen him as opposed to Hal Jordan. So because the ship crash landed closer to Hal Jordan, it chose him, or it would have chose Batman if it landed closer to Batman. And there's an Elseworlds story where that happens.
Oh, good. I was gonna say we need an Elseworlds. I have to read that now. That sounds amazing.
It's not very good.
Oh, fuck you, fucking DC. Urgh.
It's disappointing because all you really have to do is show Batman as a space superhero as opposed to a low-level crime superhero.
Right.
And instead of doing that, they combine Sinestro and the Joker, and it's just
See,
dumb.
that's the problem with the fucking one where they make Kal-El Batman. They do the same thing. They combine the Joker with Lex Luthor, and it's fucking stupid. DC, just make Kal-El Batman. That's all you need to do. You don't have to fucking bring Lois Lane to Gotham City.
Wait, how do you do that exactly? How did that situation play out?
How did Kal-El become Batman?
Yeah.
They just had the ship crash in Gotham City.
Oh, and the Waynes adopted him?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, cool.
And in the end, he ends up becoming Superman because he realizes that he's better off being this giant icon for hope rather than a dark Avenger of the Night with his superpower. Because he's actually... Well, let me just say this. One thing I like about the book. He actually is darker because he has those powers. He actually kills people because he's able to do it with those superpowers.
Okay, that's cool.
Anyway. Oh, one last thing. I'm sorry. There's also this cool moment where when Thomas and Martha Wayne actually get shot, Bruce kills the killer with his heat vision.
Oh, that's neat.
Out of anger. There's some really good moments, and it's just the villain plot that's fucking stupid. Anyway, so that book needs to be redone. I would love to see that as an animated feature, just done smarter. I think that could be amazing. Anyway, All-Stars, we're an hour and 41 minutes in, so I think we better wrap this up.
Yeah, I've been saying we should wrap up since an hour and 18. Sorry, everybody. Let's go ahead and give a score. I'm gonna score for Milan here. Milan gives this movie 5 Superman penises for him to suck out of 5.
That's great. I'm going to give the book.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Let's do the book and the movie. Milan's going to say 5 out of 5 for both, obviously.
I'm going to give the book 5 pieces of black kryptonite out of 5. I'm going to give the movie 2.5 pieces of... I'm going to give the movie 2.5 underpant pieces out of 5.
I'm going to give the book and the movie... I'm going to give the book 4 superhero serums out of 5, and I'm going to give the movie 5... See, it's weird. I didn't think that we'd do 2 different scores.
Right? I had a hard time with the second one, too. I was like, the under...
Alright, I'm going to give the movie... I'm going to give the movie 5 out of 5... Damn it! Rainbow Coats!
Yes. Internet high five. There you go, bro. Anyway, so, that was awesome.
Yeah,
so
cool.
Ian,
all right.
What are we talking about next week?
We were talking about... I actually had a hard time thinking of a topic this week. I guess I'm in review mode right now, but I did think of one. We're going to be talking about sequels next week.
Cool.
When they're deserved, when they're not deserved, and when they're surprisingly deserved. So, that should be a lot of fun. And until next time, everybody, I'm the Philosopher.
I'm the Fanatic!
And I am the Madman.
Thanks, Milan.
And we are your Geeky Gentlemen, and we will be discussing things.
Bye everyone. Disney.